What's going on, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com. The trend amongst all the manufacturers as of late has been bigger, bigger, bigger. You see the G2X 4-inch display, Evo 3D 4.3-inch display, and the behemoth Samsung Infuse 4G with a 4.5-inch display. It seems like everything's getting bigger, 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 but there's one company that's going smaller, the HP Veer 4G. I was tempted to say smaller, 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 but there's only one. The HP Veer 4G, it's available now at AT&T, and it's running WebOS. Yeah, it's another WebOS device, finally, after the Palm Pre 2. So this is coming out. The Pre 3 is on its way, which is a bigger device, but this is an interesting little compact device. Let me get it up here close to the camera so you can see. QWERTY keyboard, still a full QWERTY keyboard despite the size, but it's a pocket-sized device, especially when you compare it to something like the HTC Sensation. Much difference in the size, or a lot of difference in the size. Is this a device for you? Should you go with something like this, or should you go with a more conventional device like the Infuse 4G, if you can even call that conventional? We'll find out that and more in the review. But first, special thanks to our guys at Best Buy. They always hook us up with phones so we can give them to you in the One Paw Bandit game. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll help you hook up your Veer 4G, get your email, get your web, and more. But enough of that. Let's get into it. The review. Is this tiny little smartphone the one for you? Let's go take a look and figure it out. It's a baby. At least that was my first thought when I saw the HP Veer 4G or something like that, because it is tiny. I mean, when you compare it to something like the HTC Evo 3D, I mean, you can really see when closed how small this device is. It's running a miniature 2.6-inch display, and it's running an 800 megahertz processor, so it's pretty equipped, and it's really it's like they've taken the Pre 2 and shoved it down into a smaller form factor. 800 megahertz processor, 2.6-inch display. You've got a 5 megapixel camera back here, and then it has HSPA plus 14.4 megabits per second data. Now, AT&T bills 14.4 as 4G, so that's why they call it the HP Veer 4G. First of all, it's HP now. Don't let them hear you call it Palm, but it's also the Veer 4G according to AT&T. A 910 milliamp hour battery. So you really look at a smartphone, 910 milliamps, as opposed to something like the Sensation, let's say, with 1,520 milliamp hour battery, or the Evo 3D with a 1,730 milliamp hour battery. I mean, it's a noticeable difference. In my testing, the battery dies pretty quickly once you're using this as your main device with moderate use. So like I said, 2.6-inch display. It is running WebOS, so it's got that. It has, of course, magnetic charging via the touchstone dock, and this is a frustration out of all. It's 2011, guys. Come on, proprietary charging port, really? No micro USB charging port over here. It's proprietary, and you do get one in the box. Obviously, you get the AC adapter module and get the USB cable, which doubles up as your proprietary charging port. But you have your little toggle here to switch between silent, or vibrate rather, and regular sound. And then you have your power button over there on the right side, and then a volume rocker over here. Now, there's a little thing that comes in the box that hooks here and gives you a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. So something to keep in mind. 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, not on the actual device. You do get the adapter in the box though. But it's available at AT&T now, and it is a WebOS device. It's nice to finally see another WebOS device come after the Pre 2. Now the Pre 3 is on the way, so keep that in mind, but this little miniature form factor. And it's also interesting that they've packed a full QWERTY keyboard that, surprisingly, despite the small size of this, is pretty usable, and it's because of the rounded keys and the fact that they're kind of chiclety and they have good tactile feedback. You have your 4-row QWERTY keyboard, no dedicated row for numbers, but you do have a dedicated row for your spacebar, period, @ sign, and then symbol, and then your shift key. So very, very nice there. But otherwise, very small device, no flash on the back of the camera, but we've seen WebOS before, and the changes, even though this is a newer version of WebOS, the changes are pretty subtle. So we can go in here, and let's click on that, for example. Go over here to applications and start. You can see out of the box, HP's app catalog. You can see gone is the Palm logo, completely scrubbed from all of their devices. Email, calendar, messaging, AT&T Navigator, YP mobile camera, photos, music, videos, memos, contacts, tasks, calculator, clock, all your personal information management stuff. And then these are some applications that I had from my previous Palm profile that when I restored it, it brought those back. Bubbles, because who doesn't love Bubbles? Fandango, Engadget, I know. Forbes, LinkedIn, and more. So you have all that over here in the applications. You have extras over here, Amazon MP3, Google Maps, mobile hotspot capability, so you can take advantage of that 4G connectivity. Now, here's the interesting thing about AT&T's 4G. They don't tell you which markets it's available in, which markets they've deployed the enhanced backhaul in. So, you could go to a city, let's say San Francisco, your speeds could be substantially different than Seattle, Well, you don't really know which one's running which. I mean, one could be, still be on HSPA Plus, or one could be on HSPA Plus, one could be on HSPA. They don't really tell you which markets they've rolled out to. So there's no easy way to tell, like when you go to Verizon, you can look up which LTE markets are available. No way to tell with AT&T. And unfortunately, my AT&T SIM card was somehow, for some reason, disconnected this morning, so I've got to go get one on my personal account. My review one was disconnected for some reason, so I'm running it on Wi-Fi. But you just see 4G all the time. You don't see it switch to 3G or anything like that. So, it doesn't tell you when you're going from one to the other. But anyway, sounds and ringtones, screen and lock accounts, gesture tutorial, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, VPN, exhibition, which I'll show you this. It's actually pretty cool. This is a new feature. You can go to exhibition. We'll start this. You see your photos, your agenda, and time, and we'll start it. And it brings up that as well. Now, that's a good question because I can't remember how to get out of it. Okay, yeah, that's right. Tap it a million times. But anyway, same WebOS stuff going on over here. You have the cards functionality, so we can open up the web browser, for example, and you still have your little notifications, or your little gesture pad down here where I can bring up, let's say, messaging, and I can bring up phone, and I can bring up more, and I can scroll between those various cards, and then when I want to get rid of them, I just swipe to the top. So actually, despite how small this device is, the functionality is pretty impressive, and it's a reasonably fast device given the size of it. Usually the compromise comes in processor speed, or you have to get rid of some of the features in order to preserve the size. But it's a pretty fast little device, and it's nice to see WebOS. That said, it's kind of like the phone from Zoolander. So I think a lot of people are going to be like, this is too small for me. I need something a little bit bigger. Something with a bigger display. I want to watch media, and this just isn't cutting it. For those people, this probably isn't your device. So let's load up the browser, and accidentally loaded up two. Let's load up Phone Dog just so you can see how it looks. And again, same browser we're familiar with here. We'll load this right up and get this to go. And we'll do, actually, while we're waiting for that. Yeah, okay, there it is. So it loaded right up, and there's Phone Dog. Very easy pinch to zoom, and you can see those advertisements running, the sensation advertisement. We're going to trust the certificate. I have a feeling it's a pretty trustworthy website. Trust it again. And then we'll scroll up through here, and you can see the logo. Now again, look how small this is on this display in comparison to, I just shot the Evo 3D dogfight with the sensation. So just to give you a comparison here between the two, just look at the size difference. And that's something for people, I think, that web browse a lot, or want to consume media on their smartphone. This is going to be the real Achilles heel. So keep that in mind. That's very small, but you can always zoom in and get an up close and personal look of pictures like that. Bam. And you can scroll over, pinch to zoom, very, very responsive, and always, really impressed with the WebOS browser. I will maintain that WebOS is one of the best platforms out there. It just needs more traction in order to be successful. Now, up here at the top, you can always click and drag down, kind of like a computer. We'll click it up there. You can edit. You can do a new card if you want to. Let's do a new web card. Let's just go AT&T, for example. And then when I come out here, you can see that it groups those cards together. So you have just type up there, but you can see it groups them together. So I can bring up the Phone Dog one, or I can bring up that one. And then when I want to get rid of it, I just swipe it right up. So the incredible ease of use of WebOS is just phenomenal. But of course, you can use it in portrait. You can use it in landscape as well. There's a little bit of checkerboarding as you go up and down, but definitely not too bad. The transitions are very quick with little to no lag whatsoever. But again, very, very small display. You want to put that little tiny keyboard to the test? Well, I did a couple of days ago, and I was pretty impressed. But actually, just something I thought of, I didn't show you where the SIM card slot is. It's this little tiny slot right up here. You have to put the SIM card all the way down in there. So it's easy enough to get it down in there and push it down, lock it in. But when you try to get it out, man, it's kind of a pain unless you have fingernails where you can dig down in there and get it. But we'll see here the messaging interface. Now this is something, WebOS has always done really well at. It's a conversationalist. It's messaging across the board. So if you have AIM profiles installed on this, you have Google Talk installed on this, and then you have messaging, it configures all of those into one easy prompt. So let's say I'm messaging with my friend Bob, and I'm Google talking with Bob. We're Google talking back and forth. Bob and I are talking, and then all of a sudden he wants to switch, or I want to switch to messaging, let's say. It's an easy switch to messaging. I can do all of that from this conversations menu, and it's that easy, that simple, and that easy. So we'll do the Quick Brown Fox. Quick Brown Fox is filled with happiness because he, whoops, forgot a second, sorry, forgot an extra P there. Happiness because he has water. Pretty Brown Fox is filled with happiness because he has water. Now, obviously click that to send, but very easy to type on, surprisingly easy actually, despite the size of the keyboard. And then of course enter your name or number up there. I can stop, I can load up something else. But so the multitasking capabilities, this is something that we've seen kind of elements of on various operating system platforms. You look at RIM's QNX platform, which is what's on the playbook. Look familiar? A lot of people are saying it's very WebOS-ish, if you will. And notifications appear down here at the bottom. But very easy to stop, to start back, and then like I said, if you're in messaging and you're on AIM and you want to switch to messaging, text messaging that is, very easy to switch back and forth. So quick and easy to type on the keyboard. The keys are very tactile with little to no lag. Now, while I'm thinking about it, you can go up here, and this is kind of your pilot screen, if you will, with the date, the battery life, Wi-Fi, connected to Baker, which rightfully so, Bluetooth, VPN. You can turn on airplane mode all from there. So pretty easy. And of course, like we saw in the web interface or in the browser, for example, you have edit, add file, and help. So we always have additional options in the various applications. So bam, done. I want to go back to it. It loads right back up. And you can see that because I didn't send that, conversations list is empty.